Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez. In this episode, yes, this is a very special episode. This is episode 420, 420, the big 420. Prez, how are you doing on a very, very special episode?
Man, if I knew it was episode 420, I would have been in a different state of mind and prepared. Fun
Well,
fact, there have been other shows where I have been in a different state of mind, not as often as you think, but you can probably spot them if you pay attention.
only on audio. You'll never get visual cues, just the audio cues. All right. Well, we're not here to talk about 420, although we could.
We're
But
here to talk about Chuma Okeke.
yes, real hoops. We're talking about basketball and the Knicks and maybe some other stuff in between. But before we do that, I do have to make a few announcements. First, being that the Strickland has an Instagram, check that out. That is at the Strickland line on Instagram. We're posting all new kinds of content on there. The Strickland also has a YouTube channel where you may watch this podcast. If you are not done so already, please subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.thestrick.lens. There's a link that'll take it to the merchandise store. And there's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we've got it. Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Pod Strickland's podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Take from the Obvious Bozos, our newest podcast that is hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Blatter. And you get access to the Strickland Discord where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, my solo pod, where I rant and rave with anything more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Miranda, one of the best in the business. And now you get access to Strictly NFL, which, you guessed it, is our podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and a $100 tier. This comes with a variety of additional benefits, like listening on pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this would be possible without you. And none of this would be possible without BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads of the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. BetOnline. The game starts here. So the Knicks they've done a few things, actually, since we last talked. One is kind of, it's important to, like, me and you in a very stupid way that doesn't actually matter. They signed Chuma Okeke to a Exhibit 10 contract. Do you care? Do we care? I like Chuma. I've always liked Chuma, but I think my liking of he might be at the point, Frank, to a point where it's like, I still like you, but I'm not sure you're actually good anymore. Pretty sure you're not, actually.
Yeah, this was my theories of thoughts and emotions when I belatedly learned that we signed Chuma. I was like, oh shit, Chuma. I fucked with him in his draft. I had him in the lottery for a couple of years, for like 2 years. Actually, it was like 2-3 years. I feel like people on the internet were still like, oh, he still got upside. He's got the tools, even though he didn't really do shit. Because he actually, even though he didn't really shoot, he defended when he came into the league, and obviously he defended in college. And then I went to like look at his actual stats for the last couple of years and his EPM, and he's literally one of the worst players in the NBA last year by many metrics. And it was one of those things where, like, the Knicks scout better than me. He's toolsy. He plays hard. He might be ass, but fuck it. If they think they can squeeze some juice out of this stale orange, then go for it. But he might be ass. And I'm like, just because he has played lots of NBA games doesn't mean he's a better 15th man than, like, some random young guy or whatever. But I see the vision. When you're talking about the 15th spot, you're not going to get somebody good. The best you can do is get somebody who is good at a thing, and he can defend a little bit. So just take that and run with it. It's whatever. He's on an Exhibit 10, so this motherfucker might not even play for all we know. Like, yeah, he could be like the backup wing, but he could also just be no one. So we'll see. It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's an exhibit 10. He's here for training camp. That's what this contract is. So if he shows out in training camp and earns a roster spot, good for him. He's probably still never going to play, but he'll get himself a couple $1 million. If not, womp womp, who cares? The other piece of news that took place, well, I guess there's two. One, neither was very surprising, but one, I don't even know what analysis there is to give. The Knicks extended Tom Thibodeau. We don't know the terms of this contract. It's safe to assume that it's something like 3 years, and it's probably something like $10+ million, maybe $10 to $12 million. What do you have any thoughts on this? Do we need to talk about this a lot?
Nah, it's not my money. Doesn't count against the cap. They could fucking pay him $50 million a year. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't care. I think he earned it. We'll see if he continues to earn it. Well, that's it. Like I don't know what else to say. I think he's done a great job the last 2 years, basically, aside from whatever the fuck went on in that Miami playoff series. But aside from that, pretty generally okay with like his decision making. And does he still do stuff that annoys me? Sure. You know what? Find me a coach who doesn't annoy their fan base in any way, shape, or form. You can't do it. Trick question. He's better than Aaron Boone, so he's got that going for him. I don't know. Maybe is Chuma or Jazz Chisholm? Who can say? Who can say?
No one on the Brunson is the only one whose vibes can even begin to approach the immaculate Chisholm vibes. Nobody on this team. Brunson is not. He's like a dorky dork. Like there's just nobody on the Knicks who's that cool. Like it is what it is. We don't need it. It's fine.
Single heart. But our single heart never existed. So it's unfortunate.
It's a fiction.
Yeah, single heart would have done it though. He would have had some great vibes.
The world, this timeline was not ready for that.
No, it was not. Jazz Chisholm, great Euro step. Yeah, all right. So good job for Tom. Good job, Tom Thibodeau. You earned it. 2 thumbs up. Prez giving you 2 thumbs up. You just can't see it. Okay. The Knicks also signed Precious Achiuwa. Re-signed Precious Achiuwa, I should say. 1 year, $6 million. He waived his no trade clause that he would have gotten, or that he was. I mean, he had the right to. He waived it, and in doing so, he gives the Knicks another interesting little salary to potentially use in trade. We'll see whether anything comes of that. I personally like bringing back Precious. I thought there was something with that Precious Randall OG lineup that we saw at times. I think there's something with OG and Precious together because OG can like tell Precious what to do. And that seems to help him a lot. But there's some combinations there in the front court I like. I like his athleticism. I'm gonna need him to shoot threes better than whatever he's done so far in his career. And I'm gonna need him to shoot free throws better. And I'm gonna need him to finish like 64% at the rim. If he can do those things for me, I believe in Tom Thibodeau to get the absolute most out of him as our backup 5 defensively.
Yeah, huge fan. He had like 5 seasons in 2 months with the Knicks. Some weird circumstances.
Yeah.
His playoff efforts were extremely endearing, given he's not the most well-rounded player in many ways. But he was called upon, and he answered that call as well as you could possibly expect. So given our injuries and everything, like, and his upside, which is a thing, like, whatever, like, he's not fucking 40 years old, like, he's 25, like, he's got talent, and the things he sucks at, which are shooting threes, free throws, and hitting layups, are things that, from a developmental side, aren't super hard to fix or at least improve. That's not an automatic guarantee that he's gonna get better at those things, but like if you had to pick a player with some legit, very good talents and skills, right? And Precious has that, right? He's a pretty versatile defender. He's a great rebounder. He's a good shot blocker. He's a solid rim protector.
The big sneeze.
Is that a thing?
That's the thing.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so like, you know, he's a good bet is what I'm saying. You don't want him at the 4 too much if he's not shooting.
I don't fucking want him at the 4 at all.
Yeah, or at all. Fuck it. Now that we have like depth, right? Like there's really minimal reason to have him at the 4. But as a 5, he's got some juice, especially as a backup 5. So, you know, keep putting in that work in Miami, where I think he's spending some time in the off season. And you know, you mentioned it, but I guess like him opting out of the no trade clause, which presumably he did because he was receiving a couple million more dollars than he would have received from any other team. A good business decision for him. You know, that allows us to pair him with other salaries, big or small, should the opportunity arise. I'm not super duper. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, like he's gonna be a salary in some big deal. Like we talked about this in the Strickland Discord, but like I know people always say like, oh, people just become available, but like I don't think anybody of extreme note is really gonna be available. If the Knicks make a trade for a player making above 10 million, it's probably gonna be for just like a solid role player or center who happens to make more than that. Which, you know, that's fine if they're better than Precious. Maybe Precious becomes better than those kind of players. Again, the bar is not really that high. You hear people on the internet talk about Jonas Valanciunas, Wendell Carter. These guys are not that much better than Precious. Like he's basically hitting layups and a couple of corner threes away from like being as good as them. It gives the Knicks a little bit of flexibility, which is cool. A little bit of upside, which is cool. And we got a New Yorker back, right? Like you want to talk about aura. I wouldn't say he has like a Jazz Chisholm situation, but he's got a little attitude to him. So you know, when he's catching those posters and shit, and he's from the BX and Nigeria, so it's good energy, good vibes, good vibe acquisition, continuity, all that good shit. So you look at the stats, he doesn't jump out, but I think he's a little bit more than the stats, which is a very homer thing to say, but I stand on it. It is what it is.
Yeah. I like Precious. I think I don't know that they're going to trade him. I wouldn't guarantee that. I would say that if part of the deal of him re-signing for this money was we need you to renounce your no trade clause that you get per the CBA, that probably means something, or at least indicates that they're not exactly like, you're definitely staying here through the year, bro. And that's, you know, look, they probably paid him 2 or 3 times more what anybody else was willing to. So there you go. That's what we call quid pro quo in the biz, kids. I don't know if that's what anybody calls it in the biz, and I'm not sure what biz that would be, but there is something called quid pro quo, and this would qualify as a quid pro quo. All right, enough of that nonsense. Just worth mentioning, the Knicks still have the taxpayer mid-level exception at this point. So it's $5.2 million. They've not used it. They still have a roster spot available. They might have 2 if they ever wanted to waive Jericho Sims. They probably won't, because apparently Jericho Sims is learning how to shoot turnaround jumpers from Mike Bibby this summer. So congrats to Jericho. I'm sure
Jericho is at the point in his career where if he gets literally good at anything other than rebounding, then he extends his time in the league, because he's on the verge of being like just not a useful center, which is saying something. So good for him. I hope he learns how to shoot and becomes a fucking third string center like my Latvian guy who just got signed. What's his name? I can't even pronounce it. Przezniks. Yeah, like
he's on a 2-way contract, by the way.
So well, maybe Jericho's a step above that. For now. Days are numbered, fella.
Anze
I hope HGH Mike Bibby is teaching you the ways.
I think that Pashetnik's, something like that. I'm pretty sure he got moved in some stupid trade that actually, like, I think they sent out a top 20 or 21 or 20, whatever, some protected first round pick for him. And that pick didn't convey because they lost some stupid game in the bubble. The Sixers did, or
Wow.
and that became Tyrese Maxey. So little
Damn.
little history lesson for you kids out there, you crazy kids. Good fortune. Fortune favors the dickheads. Apparently, that's how it works. Okay. All right. Prez, you watched quite a bit of summer league. Is that fair to say?
A little bit, yeah. I watched all the Knicks and I bounced around for a couple of other teams. I watched the teams with interesting players, not like the nobody gives a fuck teams.
Well, that's very well adjusted of you to do that. I'm very proud of you that you've come
It
this
took a
far.
lot of discipline. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's been a journey.
Yeah, it's been a lot of years, but we're here. We made it. All right, so we're gonna play a game, and the game is starting with the 21 draft. So this is the draft where these guys are all heading into the final year of their rookie contracts at this point. How many of these guys? We can do like the first top, let's say 45 picks. Top 45 picks in each of these drafts. How many guys is it time to bury them? How many times is it?
When you say bury, do you mean
We're
relative
done.
to expectations or
No.
like you shouldn't be in the NBA?
Like you're not a serious player.
Oh, so that could be relative.
No.
You could be
no.
extremely talented and not serious.
No, these guys should not be in the league. How about that?
Okay.
They're on their way out of the league. That's probably the best way to put it. They're on their way out of the league.
All right. They're on thin ice, as a Strickland subscriber Omar would say, or
Yes.
Discord user, whatever the fuck we call these people. These group of
Patrons.
degenerates, yeah,
Patrons.
or Patreons who pay us money. Shout out to you guys.
All right, so we'll start with the 2021 draft. I don't think Cade, no. Jalen Green, even though I'd like to say yes, no. Evan Mobley, he of the new inked max contract, no.
Scotty Barnes, yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Next,
Clearly,
moving on.
Jalen Suggs, no.
No. Giddey,
Josh Giddey,
no.
Even though kind of wish he should. I mean, he should.
He probably should be.
Yeah.
Kuminga, no. Franz, no. Davion Mitchell, no. But thin ice. Watch your back, kid. Watch your back.
Close. He's got to do something other than like defend nice at the point of attack sometimes.
He's on remarkably thin ice for a top 10 pick. I'll put it that way. That should have. If he wasn't a top 10 pick, the ice would have melted a lot quicker.
It'd be cracking. It's cracking. The ice is cracking right now.
The ice is definitely cracking.
He's running to safety, but the ice is cracking. He's got to get there quick.
What guards are on Toronto? Like, Quick, Mitchell,
and that kid Brady, they drafted from Houston. Shed.
Oh, Shed.
Look at this. Look at me. Look at me.
Shed,
more about the draft than you.
Shed might fuck around and be like, I am what you are promised, and just take his minutes. So he better watch this.
Or he might just be like, I am what you are, but on a cheap second round contract.
Yeah, for real. Fact. Okay.
Right.
Zaire. Woo.
Salary jump. He of the recent salary jump trade. Zaire Williams.
He's on even thinner ice than Mitchell. Because at least Mitchell has a thing he can hang his hat on. Zaire does not have that yet, even though he's taller. So
Zaire is
big L for Prez, by the way. Huge fan of Zaire coming in.
Like him. He's grabbing on. He's fallen into the water. The ice is cracked beneath him, but he's just holding on. Just holding on to a little bit of land and trying to haul himself back up. That's how it qualifies Zaire Williams. I think he's done.
He's probably done. If I had to bet, like just percentage-wise, like the odds are absolutely very far not in his favor. I give him like a 25% chance of like figuring this shit out.
I think if he figures it out, it's going to involve him not being in the NBA for a while.
Yeah, I could see a Dante Exum type situation where he goes somewhere else, takes more time to learn how to shoot, learn how to eat some fucking food, like whatever.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like the guy's been in the league for 3 years. He looks the fucking same, and he's going to a situation. People are like, "Oh, this would be a great situation for him. He can just play."
It's a terrible situation.
I'm like,
Have you
no.
seen the fucking Pelicans? Like,
No,
they're already crowded. He's not on the Pelicans?
No, he's on the Nets.
Oh, he's on the Nets? I'm
Yeah.
tripping. Even
that's a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna get a lot of minutes. Cool.
Is
And
he?
he's gonna like even if he
I guess
does,
they're gonna tank. So
who's he playing off of? Like he's just gonna look terrible there.
yeah,
It's not gonna be a good situation.
It's
It's
not
gonna
be
be
good.
bad. But hey, who knows? Maybe they can. Maybe he'll be their next D'Angelo Russell. Okay. Well, these won't be too hard. James Bouknight.
I think he's done.
Yeah, I think he's done. I don't even know if
he's too deep in the ice. The ice flows have got him. Hypothermia is setting in.
I think it's set in. Like it's done. It's over.
He's at the bottom of the lake.
12. This is the 12th pick of this draft.
Josh Primo is obviously. You know what the fuck?
I don't think he's done.
That's the most crazy shit. You're right. He's on the thin ice. He's on the thin ice, but he's not done, which is insane.
He's with like he's a little bit. He's somewhere between Zaire and Davion.
I think so. I think that's right.